All right, we are live on YouTube. I hope I don't look scary. There's so much light. That's a little bit better, maybe. Okay, so it's been quite a while that I felt called to make this video. Sometimes it takes time to go through the life process to understand the different layers and levels of a lesson, especially when it is so multi-dimensional and multifaceted. Um, so, a little bit of background. I am on the path of becoming a Tantra teacher. I am a Tantra teacher, and it is very much my soul calling, my path of Dharma. Um, the way I found this path, actually, the path sort of found me, as Dharma does when we learn to listen to ourselves from a deep place, attuned to um, the subtle knowings and the sensitivities, right? When we learn to listen to the signs and synchronicities in our external world that are guiding us to be in alignment with our truth, to follow the universal flow of life force energy as it wants to move through us in the way that it actually is mirrored by our external reality. So this is a framework, an approach to life that is very shamanic. You can also call it tantric, because tantric is acknowledging. Tantra is like, let's first of all make a clear separation. Tantra does not mean sex. That is a very common, popular misunderstanding, because there are sexual practices within the world of Tantra as a way of harnessing our life force energy and learning to direct it in a very intentional way. But Tantra as a philosophy is so much bigger than that. It's actually a framework that is approaching the world and in the cosmos, right? Life itself in a human body, that is acknowledging that we live in a dualistic reality. Yet, how do we approach it from a non dualist perspective? How do we acknowledge the allness of the human experience? Meaning, we are not just physical matter, right? We are also spirit, consciousness, heart. We are spirit manifest into form in order to experience this world. Um, the body very much gives us the filters that we get to pick up information and data from the world around us to inform our inner experience, to inform our soul. So I really believe Earth is like a school for souls. We come here to learn certain lessons. A lot of times, the lessons we can repeat through many lifetimes. This is the cycle of karma, that we have certain life lessons to learn, and it can take as long as it takes to learn it. Sometimes multiple lifetimes. But the path to living our dharma, which is actually means our soul purpose, because the law of dharma, what it says is it's acknowledging that every single living being, including the flowers, the plant life, the animals, like, it all serves its purpose within the greater ecosystem. So even us as humans, as individuals, we all are born with an inherent important part of the greater whole, that when we live in alignment and in integrity with our truth, with who we truly are, authentically, in all levels. When we come into wholeness with all aspects of ourselves, then we live our truth. Then we live our dharma. We live our purpose, our destiny. It is an organic unfolding of our highest fulfillment, of our divine purpose, of our soul service to this world, um, that we come into alignment with it as we learn to listen to ourselves and live true. And that is the real work. That's the inner work. Because we get born into different conditions, different cultures, we pick up programmings from our school and from our family, and we learn to navigate the world through lenses that are not always inherently true to our inner selves. So, in order to discover what is our real truth, requires us to dive deep within, to be introspective, self-reflective, question the way we think about things, the way we perceive things. Ask ourselves, is this serving me? Is this something that is true and aligned for me? Or is this something I've picked up from somewhere else along the way? Is it something I can let go of and create a new belief or a new identity, even? So this is really, really challenging work, because it means shape shifting. and changing the way that others perceive us. And a lot of times others are not able to accept us when we come into our more authentic truth. That's the challenge. That's why great souls, powerful souls, souls coming from different star systems with knowledge that is here to bring into planet Earth, because Earth is going through a very important cycle of evolution right now. We are evolving into a different level of consciousness, very much like a different octave, a different frequency, where we're getting to recreate the world in a new way. There's new codes, new information coming through from the souls who are choosing to incarnate at this time, to bring their gifts through, to be in service to the shift and support all of us as a whole to evolve up level and continue on to our next level of evolution. So it's really like a galactic game that's playing out here on Earth. And not everyone is aware of that. Not everyone needs to be aware of that. I keep looking at the timer when it's like 555 or 44, like double numbers, which is the sign to me is like, keep going, you're right on track. So I'm just like opening up this flow of information, it's coming through. And actually what I wanted to talk about today is the Awakening Shakti retreat, how I came to produce this retreat, what's my intention and my challenges and struggles behind the scene that I've had to go through in order to manifest this shamanic space. It's a shamanic space because it is created with really high, pure intentions that everyone who chooses to enter this space, everyone who feels called in, is being called in for a reason, because they resonate with the core principles and core intentions that is holding the temple space. And that actually, when we enter the temple space, we are co-creating a resonant field that is allowing for higher frequencies to enter and move through us and align us with our truth in deeper, more authentic ways. So living our authenticity is actually the greatest service we can do, both for ourselves and for the world, because like I said, according to the law of Dharma, everything we need to live our greatest service purpose is built in. Our soul knows what it has, certain codes encoded into it, that when we go through certain activations and initiations, we unlock those codes. And when we feel the safety and the courage and the trust to live as our full authentic selves, that's when we emit those light codes to those around us, to those who are meant to receive from us, as we are all triggers and transmitters for each other's growth. So we are not meant to be for everyone, but there are people who we are meant to be for, just like there are people who are there for us. So we are in this exchange of energy and knowledge and light transmissions in order to awaken to our true selves and to grow and to evolve. So this is also a very tantric way of looking at things, because Tantra acknowledges the web of life. Tantra acknowledges that everything is interconnected, everything is interwoven, that all of us are actually incarnated as individuals, but we are part of something much greater than us. So when we actually learn to live in tune with ourselves, our higher selves and our lower selves, when we live in the wholeness of who we are and we act in truth, alignment, integrity, that's when we play out our piece within the greater whole. So this is the intention behind the Shakti Temple spaces, which are created for women who are ready and choosing to activate together in this way, to harness our life force energy, to clear our blockages, the things that are sticking our energy inside of us, that keep us feeling small or playing safe, being stuck in like energetic cords, not embodying our true sovereignty or our true power, hiding, all the ways that we maybe are manipulating ourselves without even being aware of it, because we just have fears that we've inherited or we are carrying within us. So the temple space is programmed and held in a very intentional way to allow for this energy flow to move through. You need to create safety and trust within the container for the energy to flow on its own. It's not because when you're working with Shakti, which is the Kundalini energy, Shakti cannot be forced. Shakti must be invited, but she initiates herself. So to be a facilitator of a space that creates the safety and the trust for people to be relaxed enough inside their body that they can self-initiate and their energy can flow in an organic way, and they feel inspired and invited to move beyond their blockages, beyond their fears, into deeper levels of their integrity and their embodiment. That is a high level skill that I've been cultivating for years. I've been investing in many different shamanic spaces, tantric initiations, therapists, spiritual guides. Like, I have just been investing in one thing after the other to keep initiating myself in integrity, to cleanse my energetic field and know and full-heartedly know and embody the gifts I'm carrying, what I'm meant to bring through in this life, which is meant to also hopefully inspire and empower others to step into their truth and their piece of the greater whole as well. So the Awakening Shakti has been a true initiation for me, because it was the first time me stepping into leadership as a producer and a lead facilitator of this vision I've been carrying for years. I've been gearing up and gaining the professional skill set and training to manifest this vision, and it came through. It came through from a calling from my higher self. My intuition told me it's go time, and it's 11:11 on the clock, right as I said it. It's go time. It's now. And I only had 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to manifest it, but it came in really strong and clear. The time is now. There was like 3 synchronistic events within one day that told me now is your time, and I went for it, and it was smooth sailing. Of course, I was meeting fears and doubts and like waves of paralysis that come of naturally when you're stepping into the next level of yourself. You're bound to move through your fears. You're bound to face uncomfortable feelings, questioning everything you know, feeling like an imposter. All of this stuff is part of the process of embodying your gifts, and having the strength and the self-awareness to witness as these processes are happening and not get thrown off. That is the key to actually manifesting ourselves. It's not about being ready that we don't have fears and that we're fearless. No, the fears are natural. Actually, it's about learning how to work with the fears, to move beyond them, to transmute them, to alchemize them into strength and into the willpower to keep going. So a little background story. I actually manifested this retreat a few months prior, and I also had a really strong calling from my higher self that now is the time, and I had full support, and I was full flowing life force behind this production. It's time to come through. I'm ready. I trust. I called on the team, started producing the event, and then I realized it's not actually the right time because it was a holiday in Israel. People were traveling, going to weddings, and I priced it too expensive for the first retreat. People were not ready or willing to invest in such a deep dive. So I decided to call it off rather than force myself to go through with it. Why I knew I needed to call it off is because I know that it's part of my path and my purpose and my service to lead from the feminine, to initiate from the feminine and grow my masculine energetic side to hold space for the feminine. But my feminine is the one that needs to be leading. And I just know that's my personal dharma. My mission in this life is to let the feminine lead, to become an embodied example of feminine leadership, which requires the union of masculine and feminine within me. This is the path of self-mastery, the path of alchemy. You need both, and they need to be in harmony and balance in relationship with each other all the time. But still, my feminine needs to be leading. And what I felt what was happening the first time I launched this retreat, I was actually leading from the masculine because I was pushing it out. I was like, instead of being organic, inviting people in organically, activating my magnetic field, holding the pillar of light, calling in the women, I was pushing it out, which is the masculine way. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the masculine way. There's just two different approaches. But for the Shakti Temple trainings, I know it needs to be the feminine leading because this is a feminine, divine feminine initiatory space. So when I checked in and I understood, oh, I'm actually out of alignment right now. I'm leading from the masculine, and I could continue. I could carry forth with this retreat. I could pull it off, but it would be from the masculine. It would be really stressful. I wouldn't be leading in the way that is in integrity with myself. I would be doing it in order to prove something to myself and to others because I set out to do it. Therefore, I need to continue it. And I knew it would just put me in a state of stress and chaos, and therefore wouldn't deliver the results I need. Because as the space holder, as the facilitator, the energy I'm embodying is the most important thing, and that will create the field of resonance within our shared container. I am holding the pillar, inviting others into that frequency. So I decided to call it off, regardless of what it might look like to others, regardless of the voices I've been receiving of my friends and colleagues that say like, hey, I want to collaborate with you, but only if you can commit to this going through. Like I've had all these voices of judgment coming into my field since then. But when I check in with myself, I know I was being guided to initiate. It was the right thing to start moving it into the world, and it was the right thing to pivot when I understood I was out of alignment. And it's okay. When we are leading from the feminine, we are allowed to change as long as we do our best to communicate in an effective way with our team, with everyone who is being affected by it, inviting them into a space of truth, authenticity, transparency, and integrity. Then yes, you are allowed to change your mind. And it doesn't mean it was a mistake. Although I had to go into about a week after I called it off, I went into like a week-long process of ego death. It felt a little bit like depression for 1 week, where I was reflecting on my failure and observing all my voices of doubt that told me, that made me question, like, was I actually acting in alignment when I had this calling to make it happen? And I felt ready. And the answer was yes. The calling and my initiation was precise, but there was a few pieces where I was still not embodying my full power and my full integrity that had to be cleared out in the 2 months. Since then, I shifted, I did some inner work, I recalibrated into my center. And then when I launched the retreat the second time, within only 2 weeks, I managed to pull it all off. And I managed to pull it off from flow, from ease, not from stress. I didn't make income from this retreat, but I knew that I'm investing into a career. I'm investing into the marketing of this brand, of this experience that I know is going to continue for many years from here on out. This was just the first one. So it had to be something that was easy and flowing, and that I could invite in the women that I really wanted to be there, even if they couldn't pay the full price. I made exceptions because I said, hey, guided by my intuition, you need to be there. And I didn't offer it to everyone because I knew it's the ones who have already been exposed to my work in some way, who already know the energy that I'm carrying, and I've already felt a resonance with them. We've already started to establish some sort of relationship or container between us where our authentic selves are being witnessed and expressed. I knew that if there's someone who I want to be there, but she can't pay, and maybe it's not her time yet, I could feel the difference because I've spent so much time calibrating to my intuition, to the subtleties of when it's a yes and when it's a no, and I'm being led by a higher power. I trust that my intuition is connected to my higher self. My higher self can see the mission much farther than I can. And as long as I can stay in tune with her and surrender to her guidance, then I'm going to be led in the right way, even when it seems like mistakes are happen. And even then, it's a beautiful opportunity to learn and to grow and to communicate and deepen in integrity, right? It's like having the framework of like releasing the perfectionism and allowing the mistakes to happen as divine lessons and teachings along the way. That has been a major key win in my journey of self-work, that I've managed to release the perfectionism. Perfectionism has been what's really paralyzed me for a long time. Release it enough that I can surrender into the unknown and embrace the mistakes as beautiful lessons. So there's been so much learning and through stepping into this offering, and I'm excited to share it with you. Whoever is interested in knowing the behind the scenes, maybe you're interested in coming to a future Shakti Temple initiation, so you can follow along, subscribe. I'm going to post my Substack here somewhere so you can check in with your email. Would love to connect with you if you are a sister on the path, a brother on the path that is resonating with this work of restoring the divine feminine frequencies on our planet. This is a high holy work. This is a work that is so needed at this time. And this is what we're here for. So I would love to connect with you if you're also on this path. Thank you for being in your service, your purpose, your truth. I know how difficult it can be, and we need each other to remind each other and keep each other on track. You are not alone. You are so honored by the divine for doing your work. As ugly and messy and raw as it can be, we need you in your power. We need you in your truth. I love you. Thank you. And see you soon.